Welcome back, students. In this video, we're going to cover lesson 11-1. This is area of quadrilaterals. Our benchmark is GR 4.4. I can solve problems involving the area of quadrilaterals. So we're going to talk about, this is 2 pages, front page here. We're going to talk about a couple of different shapes, and we're going to do a couple of different problems. And flip over on the back and let's see. Yeah, just do a couple more and then we'll talk about one more shape and do. So yeah, we got about 3 shapes and just a handful of problems in this video. So let's get to it. All right, so up here at the top, so parallelograms. The height of the parallelogram is the length of the altitude on the parallelogram. So the altitude, that's going to be the dotted line. Notice it makes a right angle. It's going to go from the middle of this vertex and then perpendicular into this side. Notice, see, this is like the slant height. This is the actual height. You're going to have the problem where it's going to give you the base, and you're going to have to find the height, and you're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find that missing side because this makes a right triangle. Let's see. And then we're going to talk about area of a trapezoid. So trapezoid, it's 1/2, and you can flip these. Remember, commutative property means we can move this stuff around, but you're going to take 1/2 of the height times your base 1 and base 2. Remember, base 1, base 2. So 1 plus 2 is the same as 2 plus 1. So it doesn't matter, just as long as you know the bases are these parallel sides of the trapezoid. If they went on forever, this side, they would never touch. These guys will eventually intersect, so it's not those. And sometimes they'll mark it, parallel it'll have the extra arrows in the middle. Probably only have one for this, it's shorter. So that's how you'd know. But again, base 1, base 2, that doesn't matter. You're essentially adding these two together, multiplying it by the height, that dotted line, and then you're taking half of that. And if you take half the height and multiply it, it works the same. If you take half of these, or if you multiply these two together, then divide it by 2 or multiply it by 0.5, which is also a half, it gives you the same number because of the commutative property. I tell you guys that because I've overthought these sorts of things, so I'm trying to save you a little grief. All right, example 1 on the left. So this is the I do, this is the you do. They give you guys multiple choice. I'm going to help you set it up, but you guys are going to work the problem. So on the left, find the area of the parallelogram. So a couple of things to notice. We're going to look at both of these together. So the dotted line is outside here. The dotted line is inside here. So inside this shaded area, like this whole thing here, is going to be 21. It's just this portion from here to here is 8. Because remember, opposite sides are congruent with the parallelogram. You're going to use your Pythagorean theorem. This is across from the 90-degree angle, so here's your hypotenuse. So c squared minus a squared is going to give you b squared, or we'll call it the height squared. So that's how you'd set that up to get height, and then height times your base 1. I'm sorry, that's base 1, base 2 is up here. Sorry, height times your base, which is 21. Over here, this is 23. This guy's 23. This 7 is outside. It's helping us. We're going to use Pythagorean theorem because this is a right triangle. This is our hypotenuse. So we're going to be 25 squared minus 7 squared is going to give us what would normally be b squared. We're just going to call it the height squared. But so Pythagorean theorem, c squared minus a squared equals b squared. And this will be 25 squared minus 7 squared. And I'm going to change it to h squared because it's the height. It's still Pythagorean theorem, but just don't let that confuse you. All right, so 25 squared. And let's get into the habit of our friend, the calculator. So 25 And this is the square button. This is the square root button. They're right next to each other. So we're squaring. So 25 squared, that's 625. Minus 7 square 49. So that's going to give us our height squared. Now I'm just going to flip-flop this. So our height squared equals 576. Now, we want the square root. We want the height. So we take the square root. So the number's already there. Square root button. And some of these, you know, I'm going to possibly do like a live video one night with the calculator. But anyway, let me know what you guys would prefer. You know, we'll go over it in class, but if I did a live video, would you guys stop and listen? You know, if I'd say let you take the calculators home, but we're short on those. As a matter of fact, maybe sending out a link so you guys can possibly purchase one for yourselves, depending on how much they are. At the beginning of the year, they were $12. Inflation, I'm not sure. But anyway, so now we're going to hit the square root button. Because sometimes you have to hit equal, sometimes you don't. With square root, this is the square root of 576. It's 24. So your height is 24. So you guys see how I got that. So we're going to clear this out. And now over here, the area is going to equal the base times the height. And folks have asked me about little b, big B. So typically, the capital letter means you're going to have to multiply, or you're going to have to do something to get it. Lowercase, like this, they gave us that number. We did have to use Pythagorean theorem, but we're going to multiply those together to get the base. Just like when we do volume, it'll be big B and maybe a height. The big B is going to be the base area. If, you know, like we had talked about before, if it's a cylinder, the base is the circle, so you get the area of the circle. Anyway, sorry, don't want to get too far ahead. So, our base, 23. Our height was 24, right here. So, our area is 23 times 24, and that's 522. I'm sorry, 552. I've got some sort of dyslexia here lately. And that's going to be feet squared, and it's squared because area is units times units. Volume is units times units times units, so it's cubed. All right, so help you set up over here. Let's just... So you're going to find the height by using your c squared minus a squared, or we'll just call it h squared. You should know this is a... and this is C. It's across from the 90-degree angle. So get your square root, find your height, and then over here, your base times this height you find over here will give you that one of these four. All right, moving down. So top of the page, and I believe almost everything in Module 11 is on the reference sheet. I think next page the rhombus is not, but the rest of these are there. So here your your formula is area of a trapezoid is 1/2, and you could write it either way, like I said. So base 1 plus base 2 times the height, or if you flip-flop it, doesn't matter. So remember, the bases are the sides that will never touch. So these go on forever, they would never touch. These sides would, as they come this way, they're going to intersect here. So again, base 1, base 2, doesn't matter which is which. This is your height, because if these are the bases, it's just sitting this way, but it's this tall or this high. So now let's just plug in our numbers. So we have 8 and 1.5. Those are the bases. 8 plus 1.5, and then the height is 7. Yeah, 7. All right, so 8 plus 1.5 is 9.5. And like I said, I'll show you. You can do it either way. So we can either say, you know, in 1/2, of course, 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. So if you're going to multiply by a half, you can say 9.5 times a half is 4.75, or if you said 9.5 divided by 2, because that's half of it, is 4.75. 4.75 times 7, so our answer is going to be 33.25. But I want to show you, let's say if we said 9.5 times 7, and then we multiplied it by 0.5, still 33.25. Let's say it's 9.5 times 7 divided by 2, because it's half. Still 33.25. And lastly, let's say you go 7 times a half and multiply that by 9.5. See, doesn't matter what way you do it, still getting the same answer. I just hope to help you guys with that. So the area of this guy is 33.25. All right, down at the bottom, so I'm going to get you started, but this is on you guys. So notice these are our parallel. So this is your height. Again, base 1, base 2 doesn't matter. I hope I've told you enough that you can do this. So just plug it in and give me the area. Okay, flip it over. So we got 2 more trapezoids, and these are slightly different. So of course I probably don't have my my protractor here. Just a second. Hold on. No rulers, because I have little kids. Fine. We will get creative when we have to. All right, so you notice over here for your problem, they give you the dotted lines. So for those of y'all that listen, don't just take the notes. So from here to here is 1.5. That means from here to here is 1.5. I'm not going to write it. So 1.5 plus a quarter plus a quarter. If you put that in your calculator, you'll see that the bottom base is 2. So when you're doing base 1, base 2, it's going to be 1.5 plus 2. And then your height, you're going to have to figure from, you have a little right triangle where the bottom is 0.25. Opposite the 90-degree angle, that's your hypotenuse, is 2.5. And you need the height. So you'll use Pythagorean theorem over here for this, and then multiply that. You're going to do 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. So now over here we don't have those dotted lines, but we're about to. We're going to take this, do the best I can to try to, too far over, but the same thing over here, probably a little easier. I can see better on this side. All right, so we make this look like that. Now notice from here to here is 2. So from here to here is 4. But from here to here, so this is 2 and this is 2. But if this whole thing is 4, so 4 minus 2 is 2. We cut these in half. So this is 1, this is 1. So 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. But this part's 2. So we need that because, so we now have a right triangle where the bottom is 1. The hypotenuse is 3, and we're looking for this guy because that's going to be our height. So 3 squared minus 1 squared is going to give us our height squared. 3 squared is 9. 1 squared is 1. 9 minus 1 is 8. So our height squared is 8. That means that our height is the square root of 8. Or, so take the calculator again, 8, and then that square root button. So 2.828 or 2.83. Okay, we're going to use this, but we'll use the calculator at the end to show you. So up here, so our area is going to be 1/2 of the base 1 plus the base 2 times the height. The height we have is the square root of 8. Just get this at 1/2. So remember, base 1, base 2, it doesn't matter. It's either 4 plus 2 or 2 plus 4. we'll just say 4 plus 2 because it doesn't matter. And then the height was the square root of 8. All right, so in here, 4 plus 2 is 6. 1/2 of 6 is 3 times the square root of 8. But we want, so we could say if we needed it in radical terms, we could give them that, but now we're going to use the calculator. So it's 3 times the square root of 8. You got to do the number first. So 8, hit the square root. That's the actual square root of 8. Remember 2.83? And then hit enter. So 8.485, we'll say 8.49, and that was centimeters squared. Okay, so that's for over here. So you guys work that. So a little bit more notes and then a practice of that for me to show you and one for you guys to do, and then that's the end of lesson 1. Okay, so rhombus. This one's the diagonal times the diagonal. It's half of that, D1, D2. Remember, these don't matter, but I want to point out, so it's saying the whole thing, the whole thing, the whole thing, the whole thing. So you guys have it easier. Over here, though, notice, oh no, please tell me I didn't just, sorry guys, I minimized the video, so I thought I'd lost it for a second, and I was slightly panicked because I'm almost done, and it's difficult to get started, and then once you get started, you definitely want to finish. So, with a rhombus, the diagonals are bisected, so that means each side is congruent. So this side is 7, this side is 7. If this side is 6, this side is 6. So my diagonal 1, doesn't matter which one is which, is 6 plus 6, which is 12. Diagonal 2, that's the other one, is 7 plus 7, or 14. People get in the habit and they were like, well, we're doing half, so why don't we just do that? No, just 7 plus 7, that's the whole diagonal. 6 plus 6, that's the whole thing. So we go up here and we do area, 1/2, diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. So this is 12 times 14. Trusty calculator. 12 times 14. All right, so 168 over here. And it's multiplied by 1/2, which is 84, or divided by 2, because that's half also, is 84. So the area for this guy is 84 millimeters squared. See, if you had said, well, it's, this is half and this is half, well, 7 times 6 is 42. They didn't get you 84. So that's why I say watch that. Over here, 1/2, diagonal 1, diagonal 2, doesn't matter which is which, but it's half of that. Should be very easy. Coming down to the bottom. So for my crew, I know each of the teachers would do a little different. I do have some of you guys that actually have worksheets, so this should match up, but just in case. But for everyone else, so McGraw-Hill, Module 11 practice, problems 1 through 5, and the summary here, how can you use your knowledge of triangles and rectangles to find areas of parallelograms? And of course we made the right triangle, and we used that to find the height. Well, that's about it. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. Either comment to the video, send me a message in Teams if you're in my class. If you are not, if you're Miss Brailsford's class, I know you guys may be listening along, trying to get caught up. Leave me a message in Focus. You guys can find me. Last name Whitlock, Whitlock. Y'all know what I look like. The rest of YouTube does not. Lucky for them. Or, you guys know I'm right across the hall from Miss Brailsford. Or if you're in Mr. Sobieski, any of the other classes, I'm I-103. If you need anything, I'm I'm there after school at least until 2:25 every day, and we have esports for the last quarter on Wednesday, so I'm there at least till 4. So if esports is going on, they don't need me. If you need tutoring, then I'm there for you. So please come see me. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. You'll get the videos. You won't have to wait for the Teams message or the focus message. And if you're not in my class, then that'll tell you. That would help even more. So anyway, have a good night.